Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We're going to talk about the big story, the NFL class action lawsuit. We got some Browns news. We're going to talk Cavs. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. It's an NBA trivia question. Who is the only player in NBA history to record more than 200 blocks and 200 steals in the same season? I will have the answer later in the podcast. We are going to talk about the big story that's been going on for at least a week now, the NFL class action lawsuit. NFL Network's Cameron Wolfe reported Wednesday that he spoke with a witness who said he heard Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offer former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores $100,000 for every loss during the 2019 season. Wolfe also reported that Flores' team says it had evidence, including messages from general manager Chris Geyer, which corroborate the allegations against Ross. Flores, who was black, filed a lawsuit Tuesday in Manhattan federal court against the NFL and three of its teams, and those teams being the Miami Dolphins, the New York Giants, and the Denver Broncos. Alleging a pattern of racist hiring practices by the league and other forms of racial discrimination included in the lawsuit was an allegation that Ross offered Flores money to lose games during the coach's first season because he wanted the club to tank so it could get the top pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, which was eventually used by the Cincinnati Bengals to select quarterback Joe Burrow. We are aware of the lawsuit through media reports that came out this afternoon. The Dolphins said in a statement Tuesday, "We vehemently deny any allegations of racial discrimination and are proud of the diversity and in conclusion throughout our organization. The inclusion throughout our organization." The implication that we acted in a manner of inconsistent with the integrity of the game and is incorrect. We will be withholding further comment on the lawsuit at this time. Speaking Wednesday on CBS Mornings, Flores said that his decision to not go along with Ross plan hurt his standing within the organization, and ultimately was the reason why I was let go. The game changed my life, Flores explained. To attack the integrity of the game, that's what I felt was happening in that instance, and I wouldn't stand for it, and I don't blame him, to say the least. On Thursday, Broncos president of football operations John Elway said recent allegations made by former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores were false and defamatory, and that he interviewed Brian in good faith for Denver's vacant head coach opening in 2019. While I was not planning to respond publicly to the false and defamatory claims by Brian, by Brian Flores, I could not be silent any longer with my character, integrity, and professionalism being attacked, Elway said in a statement. I took Coach Flores very seriously as a candidate for our head coaching position in 2019 and enjoyed our 3.5-hour interview with him, along with the rest of our group. I was prepared, ready, and fully engaged during the entire interview as Brian shared his experience and vision for our team. It's unfortunate and shocking to learn that for the first time this week that Brian felt differently about our interview with him. For Brian to make this assumption about my appearance and state of mind early that morning was subjective, hurtful, and just plain wrong. If I appeared disheveled, as he claimed, well, it was because I had flown in during the middle of the night, immediately following another interviewer, and were on a few hours sleep to meet the only window provided to us. I interviewed Brian in good faith, giving him the same consideration and opportunity every other candidate for our head coaching position in 2019. Flores, who was black, filed a lawsuit on Tuesday, as I mentioned, in Manhattan in a federal court against the NFL and 3 of its teams, as I said, the Broncos and Dolphins and Giants, alleging a pattern of racist hiring practices by the league and racial discrimination. The lawsuit alleges that the Broncos interviewed Flores only to fulfill the Rooney Rule, and that then Denver General Manager John Elway and CEO Joe Ellis and others arrived an hour late to the interview and appeared to be disheveled, and it was obvious they had been drinking heavily the night before. Denver previously said in a statement Tuesday that Flores' allegations are blatantly false and that its process was thorough and fair to determine the most qualified candidate for our head coaching position. The Broncos hired Vic Fangio, who was white, and as a head coach in 2019, and fired him last month after 3 seasons. In response to the Broncos' statement, Flores said Wednesday on ESPN's Get Up, I deal in truth. That's my reaction. I deal in truth. Honesty, integrity is important to me. And hopefully there is a day we find out the truth on that one. In 2020, the NFL amended the Rooney Rule to stipulate teams must interview at least 2 minority candidates not associated with their own team for a head coaching vacancy. Also, one minority candidate has to be interviewed for a coordinator positions as well as high-ranking positions in the front office, including the general manager role. Now, former Browns head coach Hugh Jackson clarified in an interview with CNN on Friday night that he was never paid to lose games, but evidence that team ownership and executives intended to lose during the 2016-27 seasons, will come to the light at the right time. No, I was never offered many, like Brian Flores had mentioned. Jackson told CNN, I think this is a totally different situation and has some similarities. I On Wednesday, Jackson and Kimberly Dimert, the executive director of the Hugh Jackson Foundation, which works to prevent human trafficking, began tweeting in response to Flores' lawsuit against the NFL and 3 teams, the Miami Dolphins, the Denver Broncos, and the New York Giants, alleging discrimination regarding his interview processes with Denver and New York, and his firing last month by Miami. In the lawsuit, Flores also claimed that the Dolphins owner Stephen Ross attempted to incentivize him to purposely lose games shortly after he was hired in 2019, allegedly offering Flores $100,000 for every loss that season. Jackson tweeted that Browns owner Jimmy Haslam was happy while we kept losing, and referenced that dollar amount he had allegedly received from Haslam per loss. Trust me, it was a good number. Later Wednesday, Jackson told ESPN Sports Center that the Browns had a 4-year plan that incentivized losing during the first 2 years. Bonus money was available if certain measurables were met, such as aggregate rankings between the youngest team and having so many draft picks. He said that plan led to his 1-31 record during the 2016 and 2017 seasons, which gave Cleveland the number 1 overall draft pick in back-to-back years. Haslam fired back at Hugh Jackson on Thursday, telling the Knoxville News Centennial that Jackson has never accepted blame for one thing, and called the claim he paid Jackson to lose games an absolute falsehood. Jackson told CNN that he wasn't paid to lose games, but he had evidence to back his claims that ownership and the Browns executives intended to lose games. I told Jimmy that what he was doing was very destructive, to not do this because it's going to hurt my career and every owner and every other coach, that worked with me, and every player on the team. Jackson told CNN, and I told him that it would hurt every black coach that would follow me, and I have the documents to prove this. When pressed why he hasn't disclosed that evidence, Jackson said those things will come to the light at the right time. Now, whether these rumors are true, it's not certain yet. There is an investigation going on to find out whether or not these rumors are true. And we don't know if they are, but they could be. And I'll keep you updated on this ongoing developing story. So I'll keep you updated on it. It's going to now be a 2-part podcast, so I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to upload this part 1, and I'll come back with part 2, beginning with revealing the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.